Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be tuning in from. This is Scarla from the wonderful world of fibromyalgia. I actually have a new era called Christian Fibromyalgia Coach or Recovery Specialist. Um, and the reason being is because I have my premise based on faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. So what I'm sharing with you today is from love and from a lot of experience. This week I was approached by someone saying fibromyalgia is just a depression. It's based on depression. And I have to say, no, it's not. And if you had depression, you might have it. But depression is not the only thing. I've covered this before in other videos. Fibromyalgia is the after effect of stressors and triggers, because sometimes our body just cannot function in different stressors and triggers. And that can be a health effect, that can be a, a, a stressor external, somebody's getting on your last nerve and maybe an action's taken and you just, it's so much overwhelm and so much emotion that you take it internal and it ends up causing an overwhelm on some on your nerves and on your muscles and getting a stress and even triggers. So when this person kept pushing depression, I had to say, no, it's not all depression. No. And you can push all you want that fibromyalgia, the root cause is depression. Honey, darling, either you don't have fibromyalgia or you do have it and you're not dealing with it properly. And I only say this because, I've had a lot of depression in life, yes. But I wouldn't say I'm depressed right now. I mean, depressive spots, maybe. But stressors and triggers, out of this world. Do I learn to keep them under control? Yes. Do I learn to acknowledge them? Yes. Do I learn to turn away whenever possible? And this is the same for you. If you have a stressor or a trigger and there's no way to work it out, then the best way is to turn around and walk away. Key point. My sister is, oh my gosh, now I have 3 sisters, and I grew up with them, loved them dearly, but I could not be under the same roof with them any longer. Not because I don't want to, but because they each have their own idea of life, and every one of them thinks I'm wrong. I mean, they won't say it to my face, but you know how actions sometimes can really make a statement. And my youngest sister, bless her, I've given her all I can. I mean, literally, I gave her my kidney. But she's disrespected everything that I've done for her. Would I turn to her if I needed anything? No, because she has become a lot of a stress, only because she has her own personal stresses and she's dealing with them in a very different way. I think she's actually got her blinders on. She might be dealing with them. I don't know. It's her issues, her life. The way she treats me, how I respond to the way she's treating me is my business. But me coming back at her and reacting, I'm not going to give her the time of day, because if I come back and her react, I'm giving my power to her, one. And number two, I'm not in the mood to give her any more energy than I already have. Because when I gave her the kidney shortly after, she's like, well, shortly, meaning like 20 years after. Oh, it's lived its life. I'm due for a new one. And my mom came in and practically kicked her, saying, "Excuse me, young lady, you got a perfectly good, viable kidney that could possibly last you the rest of your life, and you're ready to kick it to the curb because it's lived its life?" No. Um, the reality is that she was basically giving up on the gift that gave her life. The second gift, because the first one was from my dad. She never ended up on a recipient waiting list, thank goodness. But at 16, I knew that I was going to be the next donor. And I was about just a little over 10 years later. In my 20s, I gave the kidney to my sister. And, yeah, it was very emotional, it was definitely life-giving, because I was supposed to see my kids that weekend, and my ex, well, he's my ex for a reason. I didn't get to see my kids for a while because he was ticked. He didn't want me to give the kidney to my sister, and I did anyway. But that's okay, because I knew that there was going to be something he would do. Because he was a very nasty man. In fact, I'm writing a book about the situation. It was human trafficking and arranged marriage situation, and yeah, uh, I'll be writing about it, basically, not only to get it out, but also maybe to help people at the same time. So that's besides the point. So that's one stressor trigger, but I choose not to allow it to get to me, because it really doesn't affect me anymore. I mean, the kidney is no longer in my body, so it's no longer me. And she treating me, it has no bearing on me unless I take it in. So just keep going. I haven't seen her for um since before, well, yeah, since before the pandemic. So it's 2022 now, and since before 2020, and no skin off my back. Then my other sister, in fact, I haven't seen any of my sisters now that think about it, since before the pandemic, and frankly, this is my life, and I have to learn to live it and help others, encourage others, uplift others. To me, that's more important than any of that. So my next sister has a very similar life to mine, only she wasn't in an arranged marriage or human trafficking. But she was she did get exposed to abuse and stuff. And it's a go figure, since her husband was my ex's best friend, another part of the book. So it doesn't surprise me. But because of what I went through, she was able to follow and avoid those pitfalls, which woke me up to realize, how many others could I help to avoid those pitfalls, right? Another stressor trigger. Okay, I'm not taking this in on me, because her actions, she's having to live with them. I don't have to live with them. They're hers, not mine. And then, of course, I have a sister that we consider the black sheep. She can't tell the truth. She mixes it all up. She reminds me of my ex, only in female form, which is sad. It really is. But the truth of the matter is she can't tell the truth. I mean, she has me mentally deranged, making up things, being too creative, being too this and to that. Um, she's she has me being the way that I was back in my 20s, wearing heels, wearing dress, makeup, hair done up, and everything else. This was my mindset. This was my professional mindset, and I take that on me. My mindset is what landed me into an ankle operation, which I've spoken about on occasion on um on my recordings. So, my point is that she tries to trigger me. She literally she tries to poke at things. This is her thing. She tries to poke things on purpose. And I turn around and walk away. It's like, I don't have time for you. The irony is that now my sisters, my other two sisters, and I check for every family gathering, for every party, for everything. Is she going to be there? Yes. Thank you. No, thank you. We have turned away, my other sisters and I, with this black sheep. She pokes so much, not just at me. I thought it was at me at first, until I found out she's doing it to my other sisters. She's doing it to everyone around her, which is, I feel badly for her, because she is feeling so insecure internally that she has to poke at everybody else. She can't even take a look at herself. Wow, that's kind of sad if you think about it. Now, for me, I look at it and think it's so sad. But I've taken so many courses, so much work, so much training with counselors, therapists, doctors, you name it. And I don't mean just regular therapists, I mean physical therapists. I've really got honed in on me, who I am, what I'm about, and I've accepted who I am and what I'm about, and what I can and cannot do, and how far I've grown from being that teeny bopper at 20 to being who I am today. So the reality is that I've just pointed out triggers and stressors, all of which have to do with fibromyalgia. Depression can be an undercurrent, but depression alone does not mean fibromyalgia. No. Stressors and triggers, yes. Post-traumatic stress disorder most likely can lead to fibromyalgia, if not straight up fibromyalgia. Other health issues, other mental health issues, yes. Can any of this cause it to where it's a challenge to work? You bet, absolutely. In fact, that's what I'm working on right now, is I'm working on doing recordings for different jobs where it can be done at home, and it can be done remotely. Yeah, just different ideas so that people do not have to rely on the government. They don't have to rely on other people. They can rely on themselves. Because the biggest plus on gaining control of fibromyalgia, besides the working out and the getting physical, it's physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, but being self-reliant. Rely on yourself, nobody else. It will be the greatest reward and the greatest strength and the greatest defeat of depression. Does depression equal fibromyalgia? Not even close. Not even. So, until next time, have a blessed day. You take care, and talk with you later.